and welcome to Extra. I'm Machirua. On Extra, we bring you the most extraordinary of people who are bringing change into the society. These people have seen problems and have decided to come up with solutions. Today, we have our guest. Her name is WEVYN MUGANDA. WEVYN is a yearly alumni. She works for Haki Africa and she's a UNESCO leader of 2018. So WEVYN, welcome.
Thank you.
Kindly introduce yourself.
My name is WEVYN MUGANDA and I work for Haki Africa as the programs coordinator. I also have a blog, Beyond the Lines, where I raise awareness on issues of violent extremism, terrorism and human rights.
So WEVYN, you studied actual science actually. Her story is very extraordinary. She studied actual science but ended up in human rights and social justice. How did that happen?
I can say that it's happened as oops, but then also I feel like everything goes with a plan. I've always been passionate about community work and social justice and just trying to get people the kind of opportunities that they deserve. I was volunteering in campus through ISEC, and when I went to Rwanda to volunteer, when I came back, I was looking for a job and someone told me about the internship at Haki Africa. So my journey at Haki Africa began in 2016 December through that internship. But I can say my passion for community began way back, I think, since high school.
Okay. So how was the transition actually? Because normally when you graduate and you've studied something, so when you studied actual science, you were hoping to get a job in your field.
Yes.
But then you didn't.
Yes.
And then how was that that gap when you were still searching for a job? And how was the transition from being WEVYN who studied actual to WEVYN the one that is fighting for the rights of people and social justice?
I can say the first year was really challenging because for me when I got the internship, it was just an opportunity for me to do a bit of community service for a short time before I actually go into practicing actual science. But the moment I went into Haki Africa, meeting the communities, especially interacting with young people and seeing the kind of change that we are making in their lives, it became like an addiction. You want to do more and more. And so through the first year, although it was challenging trying to find myself in human rights, I developed an interest, and I guess that's how I decided that this is what I want to do. This is where I want to settle in.
Do you have any regrets?
Not at all. No, none whatsoever. In fact, I never. People ask me if I miss, because I never practiced actual science even for a day. So you can't miss what you don't know what feels like, how it feels like. So I have no regrets. I am extremely happy. I can say I sleep better at night. I am very fulfilled, not because of I know that for me this is not just a job. This is an opportunity for me to change people's lives and to make an impact in the communities.
Given a chance to go back to actual science and leave human rights, social justice behind, would you do that?
No.
You wouldn't?
No.
Okay. So WEVYN, you are a UNESCO Young Leader alumni, let's say leader of 2018, and also a yearly alumni. Yes. How has your experience been for all those?
I said the experience is life-changing. First of all, I went to the UNESCO Global Citizenship Workshop in South Korea in May 2018. And I met 49 other young leaders under the age of 24 who are doing extremely good work from Africa, from Asia, and from the Caribbean. And for me, this was a different experience. I got to learn what it means to be a global citizen, which means that besides or despite where you come from, the challenges of the universe are also your challenges. So when you think about climate change, when you think about hunger, when you think about insecurity, these are problems that are faced in Syria or in Zambia or in Uganda or in Rwanda. And so as a global citizen, your responsibility is to work towards ensuring that you are making a better society, not just in Kenya, but the entire universe. And that was the UNESCO experience. So for I think about 1 week we were learning how to be better global citizens, how to empathize with people despite them coming from a different race, a different tribe, different religion, and all that. And then we also got to learn how to come up with campaigns that can impact different parts of the world. And so from then I met friends who, after that, we have also worked on different projects. Like right now we are working on a campaign in Yemen to stop the famine and the war in Yemen. And I feel like I wouldn't have this opportunity if it wasn't for the UNESCO workshop. And the second one is the YALI, which is Young African Leaders Initiative. This is, as you know, the flagship program of former President Barack Obama in Kenya. And through these 4 weeks of learning, you get to meet also 100 other young leaders from different parts of Africa who are doing incredible projects in their communities. They're changing their communities through the business that they do, through managing public resources, through volunteering, and through community service. So we had a lot of learning, we had a lot of interaction, we had a lot of collaboration, and I feel like last year for me was a journey of growth. I feel like it's the two experiences have greatly shaped the way I think, and I can confidently say that I wouldn't want my life any other way, because through those experiences I realized that this is who I should be, and this is who I should be, and this is who I should always be.
Okay, we know that you also write. You have a blog, Beyond Lines.
Yes.
So tell us about Beyond Lines and what you want to achieve with the blog.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Beyond the Lines came as an idea because I realized that before I went into Haki Africa, I didn't know what violent extremism is. I only knew that there are terrorist attacks, let's say like Westgate or the Garissa attack, but I didn't understand how all this comes to happen. How does someone become a terrorist, or how is someone recruited into terrorism? But the experience at Haki Africa made me realize how the whole process works. And so I thought about it, and I realized so many young people do not know how violent extremism manifests, how it comes to be, and we become victims of situations because we lack the knowledge. So Beyond the Lines for me was supposed to be a platform where I educate people about what violent extremism is, how it manifests, the consequences, how you can support people who have been victims or support people who've been radicalized before. I feel like knowledge is power, but sharing knowledge is the real power. So Beyond the Lines is, and I try to make it as simple as possible, because I believe that the young person sitting in the shop right now, or the young person at home with a smartphone and internet, all they want to know is how they can be better human beings. So I try to make it as simple as possible, as relatable as possible, not very scientific, not very academic. So the blog is just for me sharing my own experiences and how that can help someone stay out of radicalization or prevent them from being recruited into maybe Al-Shabaab or ISIS or these criminal gangs that are playing rampant.
Okay, for those who don't know what violent extremism is, how would you pass it to them and tell them what it's about?
Okay, it's very difficult because the definition is not set, but violent extremism is using violence to propagate a certain message. It could be a political agenda, it could be a social agenda. So if, let's say you go to a political rally and you feel the need to beat someone so that they can support your political party, then you're also a violent extremist. You're extreme with your violence. If you feel that that your religion is the best, and you use violence to force people to believe that, then you're a violent extremist. If you believe that science is the best and you use violence, so basically if you're using violence to an extreme level to propagate or to pass a message, then you're a violent extremist.
Okay, WEVYN, you know that for the past few years, Kenya has been going through security issues, and most of the problems that we're facing are problems that, not that we have brought them on ourselves, but it's because the person propagating the violent act, probably our neighbor, but
Yes.
we know it and we won't say it, or
Yes.
probably our friend.
Yes.
How would you explain it to people so that you can be able to create awareness for them, and how can we be able to bring security into our country?
I think the first step for me, I've always felt like the moment we begin to acknowledge that human rights is it's fundamental. It's something that you don't take away from someone. You don't do it. You don't give someone their rights. It's not something that you give them as a favor or as a privilege. At that point, we begin the conversation on how you cannot be violent, because you acknowledge that this person has the right to security, the right to good health, the right to enjoy their peace, freedom, and all that. They can worship who they want. They can support whichever party they want, and just you respecting that, their humanity, the fundamentals of humanity. That's where we begin to have the conversation. So for me, when I'm speaking to people, I tell them, look, this is your brother or your sister. Despite everything else, he is as human as you are. So do unto them what you would want them to do to you. And when you think about it like that, it's very difficult for you to be violent or to say that kill him because he does this or he does that.
With so many problems that we see in society, at times one wants to give up, because today you solve one problem, tomorrow another one arises.
Yeah.
What keeps you going?
I think what keeps me going is the young people that we've worked with. For me, I say the point is not to change 100 people. Change one person. Once you change that one person, I feel like you've done your part. And this one person can change another person. So you continue to pay it forward. Challenges will always come because the universe is evolving. And as it evolves, we begin to have more problems than we had before. A simple example is we had World War I. We thought that when World War ended, so the conflict ended, but we continue to see war in different countries. We continue to see war even with technology. We also have to acknowledge that the world is not perfect. So what we do is we do our best. We tackle one problem, we get it done, and we move to more serious problems. So right now, insecurity is a problem in Mombasa. We will solve insecurity. Who knows? Once we are done, maybe it's going to be a water issue, or it's going to be a health outbreak, or it's going to be, I don't know, climate change. But we need to keep going because we know how it feels like to not have that problem. We know how a peaceful society looks like, how it feels like, and that's what we want for us and for the generations to come. So for me, that keeps me going, and the fact that the work that we do does not go in vain. We support people who have reformed from gangs, who have maybe have been recruited to groups and now are saying that we want to be better citizens. So that is what keeps me going.
Okay, and for those people who maybe will watch this, the young people,
Yeah.
and say that you're having it easy,
Yeah.
probably you work for Haki Africa, you went to Yali, you managed to get into UNESCO. What can you tell them? What challenges do you face in what you do? Because you do have them, but you overcome them and
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah. First of all, there's so many challenges to what I do. The first challenge is that the community may not always accept you, because sometimes the community is used to having this problem. And here you come saying, look, I want to help you get out of this. So there's that resistance. So you have to be willing to fight harder than before. Not fight physically, but you need to really fight with your mental. You need to have battles in your mind. Like, is this even worth it? Sometimes you wake up and you think, why am I even doing this? Why do I have to be the one to do this? I could as well quit and go to the bank and serve people, make my money and do all that. But then you realize that if you don't do it, who do you want to do it? So there's so many challenges. I can say when you're working in human rights, or when you're working as a humanitarian, or when you're working for the communities, you have to forget that it's about the money. It's not just a job for you, because the money will never match the work that you do. It cannot match the risk that you put yourself in. Every day we are fighting maybe bad government leaders, we are fighting bad people in the communities. that's a risk you put on yourself. You could be killed, you could be attacked, but when you look at what you're doing and the impact that it's bringing, you forget all that. So there are many challenges. It's not easy. It's not a path for everyone. It's not necessarily the ideal job, but I can say it's worth it and it's fulfilling. And just to other young people, you don't have to be Nelson Mandela, or you don't have to be Barack Obama, or you don't have to be WEVYN. You just have to be yourself. Pick a struggle that you're passionate with and run with it. If you have slept hungry before and you know how that feels like, and you never want any other child to experience that, you need to see what you can do so that that doesn't happen. If you know how difficult it is to get a good education and you're privileged to get that education, then you need to help others do that. The late Griffin used to say that to whom much is given, much is expected. And as long as you have food on the table, you have something, everyone has something that they can always give back. You don't have to have wealth, you don't have to have a foundation or an organization. You can still do something. If you're on social media, post a message that will encourage someone. If you are working out, encourage someone, do right, do something that will make someone's day. And that's basically that's it.
Okay, there's one question, and normally this is the last. I normally like asking people in society, because most of us, when we hear leadership, we just think of politicians. When you hear leaders, actually in Africa, we think of politicians.
Yeah.
According to me, a leader necessarily is not a politician.
Yeah.
What would you say, who's a leader to you?
A leader is someone who, for me, a leader is someone who cares about how the world lives, or who cares about development, who cares about doing right. A leader is someone who leads. A leader is someone who goes out of their way to ensure that things are better. So leaders are not just politicians. You can be a leader without being a politician. You can lead your family, you can lead your friends, you can lead in your school, in your place of work. You can actually be a leader without being a manager. That's what I always tell people. So you could be in your place of work, you're not necessarily holding a position of leadership, but you're a leader through your actions, through how you portray yourself. What kind of message do you pass across? How do people see you, and do they look at you for inspiration? When they see you, do they see hope? Because that is what leadership should be about. When someone sees you, they feel like they're hopeful, they want to live another day, they're inspired, they're encouraged. You've made their day better just because of what you've done or what you've said.
Okay. That was WEVYN Uganda. Thank you, WEVYN, for coming.
Thank you for
and it was really amazing and extraordinary. So until next time, we hope to have you again back so that we can be able to see another milestone that you have taken in life. Thank you very much.